You're listening to the Whole Hog Sports Podcast. And now, here's your host, Matt Jones.
Today on the show, we'll talk Razorback football at Tennessee. We'll also have that Q&A between Ethan and Bruiser Flint at the Hawgs Illustrated Sports Club. First, a word from Kendall King.
The Kendall King Group family of companies plays to win, just like our hogs. We know how demanding retail marketing is today. From digital omnichannel creative services, through in-store signing and displays, and finally to social influence, we've got you covered. Our KKG Inc. family of companies, Kendall King, Shopcart Creative, and Soapbox Influence are winning with multiple retailers and brands. We play to win and will be a winning partner for all your retail marketing service needs. Go Hogs!
Arkansas and Tennessee tomorrow in Knoxville. Razorbacks a fairly decent size underdog in this game, and that's not to be a surprise. Tennessee number 12 in the rankings. I still go back, Ethan, to what we talked about earlier in the week, where I just don't know what to feel about this team. Like, is it going to be the Razorback team that played at Ole Miss and was competitive and had a chance to win? Or is it going to be the Razorback team that played Notre Dame 2 weeks ago and didn't look like they belonged on the same field? I really don't know what to expect. I do know this, that Tennessee, their offense is really good. Arkansas's defense is pretty bad, maybe really bad, very bad, whatever word you want to put there in front of it. They're not good. And I feel like the game within the game, so to speak, is how Arkansas's defensive backs can cover these Tennessee receivers on paper based on what these teams have done to this point in the season. I would say not very good. Another key is, and I think this is going to be a key a lot for Arkansas this year, is how does the offense play? Because against Ole Miss, the offense played well, and that's why they had a chance to win at the end. Against Notre Dame, they played very poorly against a Notre Dame defense that's not that good, and they had no hope.
Yeah, I think that for me, I'm actually kind of looking, I think, on the defensive line if they can start to get any semblance of pressure, because I think that for the defensive backs of Arkansas to have any success against Tennessee, it's going to require making Aguilar a little bit uncomfortable, because I just don't think that you can expect Arkansas's DBs to hold up in coverage against these Tennessee receivers for too long without any sort of pressure on the quarterback and then be able to do their jobs well. I don't think many defensive backs can do that against this Tennessee receiving corps without pressure on the quarterback. So I'm kind of looking where up front, because Tennessee, let's take both sides of the ball. On defense, they're one of the top sacks teams in the nation, I think tied with Oklahoma for the top of the SEC. So how does the Arkansas O-line protect Taylon Green? If they can do that, Tennessee's pass defense has been pretty susceptible for some big plays. And on the other side, can Arkansas's defensive line maybe get home and make Aguilar's life a little bit more difficult? Because, I mean, you look at these teams and you say this should, in theory, be a high-scoring game, but I think the only way that it's not and one team is kind of shut down is which O-line, honestly, has the tougher day.
Isn't it weird? We're going into an SEC football weekend, and you even have to ask the question about, like, what are you looking forward to more? There's a couple of baseball exhibition games here in Fayetteville that I know some people who are baseball people, maybe more than football. They're really looking forward to those. You're going to be in Hot Springs this weekend. There's a lot of excitement about the basketball team coming to town. It just, and I guess maybe this is how it's going to feel the rest of the year, especially if football's not winning. It just feels like a lot of people have checked out on football already. There's still a lot of games to be played. Maybe they can turn this thing around. It's just got a very strange feeling going into an October weekend.
Yeah, I felt like whenever the game at Memphis ended, that's whenever I felt just a lot of air was taken out of the football season. Like right after that loss, you just felt like this could go south. And then I thought that, the fans showed up and recovered for the Notre Dame game and had a good environment there. And just the way that ended, it just feels like those two back-to-back games really sucked a lot of life out of kind of the excitement for the year. And Bobby Petrino and this team, I mean, they could breathe some life back into it if they if they go to Knoxville and play well. I mean, this is the thing about Arkansas football. People can be as fed up with what they're seeing or annoyed with the players, annoyed with the coaches they want. They will still have it on their TV on Saturdays.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, it's like this team could reel the fans back in if they start playing really hard, playing really well, and give fans really a reason to be invested in games. They just can't. You can't have what happened at Notre Dame happen again. The Chad Morris years. I will say, like, people had it on their TV for like the first quarter in a lot of those SEC games, and then it was off because it was like what we saw against Notre Dame was week in and week out with Chad Morris. It
was
felt
like Western Kentucky.
It was
again.
just, it was, I mean, a miserable product to watch. But I feel like this team is talented enough, and they've shown that they can hang with teams enough that if they just play hard and I mean have a good week of preparation, I think any game the rest of the year they could make interesting. I mean, they've proven that with what they did at Ole Miss that really they have the team that can make a higher ranked team sweat. So it'll be interesting to see if it maybe this Saturday can be the start of Petrino riding this ship in the right direction.
Sometimes change for change's sake doesn't work, but sometimes you can make changes that do produce different results. And from everybody I've talked to over there in football, Petrino's changed everything. He's changed their schedule, even from like their practices are, it's going to be at this time, this day, it's going to end at this time. A lot more maybe regimented than it was previously. He's changing the way they travel. I was told they are leaving town earlier to get to Tennessee this week and their future road games. Get prepared to get out of town quicker. They're going to get to the stadium earlier than they have. I was told that Arkansas was always the second team to get to the stadium on game days, and that Petrino's going to allow them to get there a little bit earlier. Maybe just be able to take it all in a little bit more. Maybe get some of the nervous energy out. So I don't know how much that makes a difference, but I do think that it's important to note that it's going to, and these are little things that are you have to sneak peek behind the curtain to see that it's not going to be the same road trip that they took to Oxford or Memphis. It's just got a very different feel, I feel like, going into this one.
No, for sure. And that's kind of the vibe that I've gotten all week, too, is just that practices are more structured. It's weird, though, because, I think the tendency is whenever Bobby Petrino's hired as the interim, like, your brain goes, oh, wow, they're about to get, the fire and brimstone, like, Bobby Petrino that's so hard on them and it's, making their life miserable. It seems like it's, I would like to do a Command F on my transcripts this week of Bobby Petrino in front of a microphone and see how many times he said the word fun. It's like he wants these guys to be having fun playing football again. He keeps coming back to it of the game of football can be fun. And then it always comes back to what makes it fun. We're scoring.
Boone.
Yeah. But it's like a new structure that he's brought in, but with a re-energized, this should be fun for you type of deal while they're there. It seems like they're making more use of less time from my point of view, that it's maybe practices or drills are a little bit shorter, some portions of it. They're going in earlier and they're leaving earlier from the facility. I just think that there's been a real emphasis on capitalizing on the moments you are here right now and just having a good time with it, and it not being like a chore, I guess. So we'll see if that leads to. I'm really just interested on the defensive side of the ball, to be honest, because all the players loved Travis Williams, Deke Adams, Marcus. They loved that staff. The results just weren't there at all, and I will be curious to see, especially that side of the ball, how they respond to these changes, because there could be a real tendency, I think, to honestly be. I don't know how to word this other than it's they fired the staff that you loved. Do they still show up for themselves and perform? Do they sit and wallow in just kind of the bummer attitude that was there, honestly, for the first day, which you can't blame them. These are guys who recruited them. They had strong relationships. But it's just what type of energy will they have on defense? What are they rallying around right now? That's what I'm really curious about.
Well, that's what Petrino talked about, telling them to, maybe for lack of a better term, take pride in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Go out there and make yourself marketable for the next school or for the next coach here or your NFL future. Don't give up on the season just because things haven't gone the way you want to this point. I did want to ask you, do you see this was mentioned on Mike Keith is the new voice of Tennessee football, and he's got a radio show in Knoxville. He talked yesterday that they've made bulletin board material at Tennessee out of Mike Washington's comments, where he said the Tennessee defense is, quote, great, but has a lot of holes.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fun game.
Yeah.
Like how is that bulletin board material?
I heard it in real time.
Is it not known that Tennessee's defense has a lot of holes? I mean, can you not see that watching them play?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I just think that, coaches will take anything that's said like that. And whenever he said it in real time, like my ears kind of perked up. I was like, that is going to be like, because it was honestly kind of the way he said of just like, yeah, we're expecting to, but I mean, you want your offense to have that mentality of like, I mean, that's your goal as an offense every time is to find the holes in another defense and try and score on them. So I do think it's funny that they've run with that a little bit more. And also, speaking of bulletin board material, Bobby Petrino ticked off Ole Miss fans this week by, Lane Kiffin even retweeted an article about it because he said something about like, yeah, we're getting ready for this noise at Neyland. Like we haven't faced anything like it. And he just like kind of threw it was true. I mean, yeah. Neyland is way bigger than Ole Miss Stadium, but he did say like
almost twice as big.
He said we handled the noise at Ole Miss well, but this will be like more than Ole Miss. Like, and I'm like, Ole Miss fans have gotten really frustrated at Bobby Petrino's comment about how Tennessee is going to be a louder environment than Hemingway. And I'm like, guys, literally Tennessee's stadium is, I think, the 6th largest football stadium in
basically
the world.
64,000 versus 110,000.
Yeah. It's like, I would expect it to be louder. Like, that's just kind of how it works. But
it's like for the little yippy dog being mad that you say the bigger dog's got a deeper bark.
It
doesn't make
crazy.
any sense.
But Arkansas has been, I guess, dishing out some bulletin board material this week. So since they just need so much more,
they need better bulletin board material. That's what. How about this, Tennessee? How about you put this on your bulletin board? You haven't beaten the worst team in the SEC in 18 years. Yeah. There's some bulletin board material. They haven't beaten Arkansas since 2007. And there have been some years where Tennessee was really bad too, and Arkansas beat them. But like Arkansas and Vanderbilt, depending on, are you saying it's from 05 or 07 or 09? It kind of goes back and forth who the worst or which the worst SEC team is. Those are the two worst. Tennessee has not beaten Arkansas in 18 years. And that is really hard to believe for a program that's been in the shape that Arkansas has been in and a program that takes as much pride in football as Tennessee does.
Yeah, since Petrino was fired in 2012, the Arkansas-Vanderbilt record comparison is staggering how, like, similar it is.
It's bad.
It's so you would just think that and this year Tennessee's also Diego Pavia said a lot of stuff that's ticked them off, which I mean Diego Pavia just is going to say whatever's on his mind.
He's going to make a lot of people mad.
So Tennessee has got like their what's the word? They're on their defense right now against Arkansas and Vanderbilt.
They've got their antenna up.
Their antenna up. That's what I was searching for. But they've been really getting rubbed the wrong way by the SEC's bottom dwellers since 2012.
All right, let's look at games around the SEC this week. We'll start with a non-conference game. Washington State goes to Ole Miss. Ole Miss still undefeated. Do you realize that Washington State lost a game earlier this year by, I think it was 49 points at North Texas?
Yeah.
I mean,
they're bad.
The fact this is only a 31.5-point line is actually kind of surprising to me.
Yeah, I think Ole Miss is going to win this one by whatever score they want, to be honest. So, I think Chambliss has proven he should be their starter, and I'd be shocked if Simmons. It's like it's one of those things that keeps on getting brought up during the week of like Austin Simmons' health. I'm like, does it really matter at this point? Trinidad Chambliss is going to be their starter.
And he should be.
You don't do what he's done the past few weeks, and then you go back to what you had in the game that you had to squeak one past Kentucky.
Their offensive efficiency has gone way up since Chambliss became their quarterback. I don't know why you would go back to Austin Simmons. It's one of those deals where sometimes we get so dead set on our preseason expectations being correct that we can't go back and correct ourselves when they're wrong. And I think that may be what's going on a little bit there. There were so many people who were saying Austin Simmons this and Austin Simmons that, and he's going to be okay. That's what you thought. You thought the same thing with Arch Manning, and you thought the same thing with Garrett Nussmeier and with Lenore Sellers. Sometimes it doesn't pan out that way.
Mm-hmm.
And to Ole Miss's credit, which maybe the other schools, they're not in the same position where they can do this because of players behind them. Ole Miss was able to move on out of necessity because of an injury and find that they had a better option on the bench.
Yeah, and I think that they're at a point right now where it's going so well. You don't change what's
No,
working.
you don't touch that.
You don't touch it. And
Not at all.
I don't think I think Lane Kiffin is of that mindset too. Of like, I mean, I've just noticed this throughout the years that I feel like he sticks with what's working.
All right. Yeah, I think Ole Miss wins big. I don't even know why we're talking about that. That's an 11:45 kickoff on the SEC Network. First SEC game of the day, Saturday, is going to be Alabama at Missouri. The Tide are number 8, Mizzou number 14. This is going to be on ABC. Alabama, a 2.5-point favorite. Efficiency ratings say Missouri wins this by 1.
Yeah, and I think this is a case of where the efficiency ratings, and I do think it's going to be a close game, but I'm going to pick Alabama. I just think it's one of those situations where Missouri hasn't been tested as much as Alabama, and I put a lot of stock into how tested you've been. I think Missouri, their wins that they hang their hat on right now was 42-31 over Kansas and 29-20 over South Carolina. I mean, maybe this team is really good, and they'll prove it against, Alabama and some of the other teams that are on their schedule, like Texas A&M, Oklahoma's on there. This is a case of one of the teams, like Missouri's schedule is really favorable in the fact that they still have not left Columbia this year, and they won't Saturday.
6 straight home game.
But it is a case of their schedule looks a lot tougher right now in SEC play to me than it did in the preseason, because you all of a sudden at Vanderbilt is a lot tougher than you thought. At Oklahoma could be tough. So, I mean, they're going to be tested at some point. I just don't think they're tested enough yet to be ready for Alabama. But I do think it'll be a close game. But I think Alabama right now with Ty Simpson, they've figured something out, and they're playing really well.
I went back and forth on what I thought would happen here. I could see where maybe there's a little bit of a letdown for Alabama. I mean, third straight week that they're playing a big game. But I feel like they're going up. And I like how Simpson's playing. I like how their defense is playing. I picked Alabama. The Red River game is at 2:30 on ABC. Oklahoma ranked number 6. Texas is unranked now. The line has flipped since early in the week. Texas began the week as a 3.5-point favorite. Oklahoma now a 1.5-point favorite. John Mateer looks like he's going to play in this game. So OU a 1.5-point favorite. Efficiency ratings say OU by 8.
I find it really interesting that the total for this game right now is 45.5, and OU being favored by 1.5, because that indicates that people think Texas will score 20. I go into this game and I think Oklahoma could, in theory, as long as they score over 10 points, win this game, because I think their defense is good enough to really shut down Texas.
Their front 7 may be the best in the SEC.
Yeah, they're tied with Tennessee for the league lead in sacks. And they got a lot of those, if I'm not mistaken.
They got 9 against Auburn.
Yeah, against
they had
Auburn.
10 during the game, and then they went back and said, no, that one didn't count. So they ended up with 9. But, yeah, that front looks really good for OU. Venables, this is the defense that they've been waiting on from him. They went out in the offseason. They totally revamped that. I think OU wins it. I mean, I just haven't seen enough from Texas. Their offensive line is a real problem at Texas. And I feel like, same thing we were talking about Arkansas's secondary against Tennessee's receivers. I feel like their front against that front of Oklahoma could be really vulnerable in this game.
Yeah, I do want to say Red River, crazy things always, like, it seems like if you go into it thinking one thing, a lot of times the opposite happens. So you never know in these rivalry games. It just seems like that Oklahoma defense should be able to really limit Texas, though.
Yeah, I think OU wins. This is like one of those real inflection points for Texas, I feel like, in the season, because if they don't win this weekend, boy, this could go south on them in a hurry.
I do want to point out with Oklahoma, Isaiah Satania is having a great year.
Yeah,
he's leading their team in receiving yards, 11th in the SEC with 359 and 3 touchdowns.
Mateer, that's a big key in this game. He had the surgery on his hand. What happens if the hand gets hit? Number one, how does it hold up? But number two, what's the grip like? I mean, this could be one of those things where you're worried about fumbles from your quarterback if Texas is able to get to him. Florida goes to Texas A&M. This is a 6 o'clock kickoff on ESPN. The Aggies are a 7.5-point favorite, and the ratings like them by 8.
Yeah, and I think Arkansas gets an undefeated Texas A&M coming into town next week, because I think they'll be able to beat Florida with I always have a hard time with A&M picking against them at home. I just think that their home field advantage is so good. And they're one of those teams this year I look at, and I just think they're like really just well-rounded all together in offense, defense. Their special teams isn't great, but they're their defense especially, I think, is not getting as much credit as it deserves. It had some, I mean, the Notre Dame game really, I think, affected some of their overall sets. But if you look in SEC play, they've been really good defensively. And
Allowed one touchdown
I'm
in 2
blanking on
games.
the defensive end's name, who he is buying himself. He's raising his stock right now. I'm gonna find it.
Well,
He
while you look.
Cassius Howell.
Okay.
Cassius Howell. He has 7 sacks right now, and he has been a one-man wrecking crew for them in SEC play. I watched him versus Mississippi State, and he absolutely changed the outcome of that game.
Elko can coach defense.
Yeah.
He can really coach defense, and it's amazing that I think they're second or third in the SEC in efficiency right now, even with that 40-point game against Notre Dame. I think they beat them. Florida, again, talk about bad matchups. A&M defense, Florida offense has been terrible this year. It feels like it could be another one of those games like last week where A&M just suffocated Mississippi State and beat them 31-9.
Yeah, and with Florida, I mean, it's going to be a storyline all until something happens of Napier, fighting for his job. You look at their schedule, how Arkansas did with a bye week, letting go of their coach. If they're going to follow a similar suit with Napier, which, I mean, beating Texas really helped them out, but they play at Texas A&M and then versus Mississippi State before a bye week ahead of playing Georgia. And I just think that things could change for them real fast. I do feel like if you look at their schedule, they have, and I get it, rankings have changed, but this is the gauntlet they've gone through. At number 3 LSU, at number 4 Miami, versus number 9 Texas, at number 5 Texas A&M. That is 4 straight games against top 10 teams. That is tough.
And Missouri still hasn't left home.
Yeah.
Old school football game, potentially Saturday night, 6:45 on SEC Network. South Carolina goes to LSU. These offenses are terrible. I mean, this could be one of those games where a special teams touchdown by South Carolina or a defensive touchdown by LSU wins the game.
Yeah, and I think that LSU will find a way to get it done just because I think South Carolina has been so – you just can't count on always having that special teams play. I know they're really good at it, but it's like it feels like this year in a lot of their wins, it's like it required that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't think that's a recipe for success. I think that's like a little – trick that you have up your sleeve that you can all of a sudden change a game with a big play. But it feels like if they don't have it this year, even that South Carolina State game that they won 38-10, I believe there were 2 punt return touchdowns in that. They did not look good in it. I have not been impressed by South Carolina much at all this year. They had a good win against Kentucky, and by good, I mean it was commanding. I'm not saying that Kentucky's a quality win, but any SEC teams win, and if any SEC win is quality, and they beat them pretty handily.
I think they've had 5 non-offensive touchdowns this year, 3 on special teams and 2 on defense. By the way, LSU a 9.5-point favorite. Rating says LSU by 2. I think LSU wins this one at home.
I think if you enter the season and you tell South Carolina fans that Lenore Sellers at this point will have passed for 4 touchdowns and thrown 1 interception, that's not the quarterback they were expecting.
Nope, not at all. One other SEC game before the Razorbacks, 6:30 Saturday night. Georgia ranked number 10. Goes to Auburn. Georgia a 3.5-point favorite. Ratings say the Bulldogs win by 4.
Yeah, this like screams to me that game that we're not talking about a lot before the week starts that you could be by the end because Auburn finds a way at home. Talk about good home field. I went there last year for an Auburn team that wasn't
one of the most
very good.
underrated places in the SEC.
Gosh, I mean that stadium is cool. And I almost picked them in this one. I just think that for me right now, I'm kind of in that mode with Auburn where it's hard to pick them because of their offense a lot of the time. And I mean, I think they could very well end up pulling off an upset here. But until I see Jackson Arnold in that offense like really consistently play well, I don't think I'll be able to pick them against top teams.
Yeah, their offense is bad. I mean, it's real bad. And Georgia's defense is not real good this year. But I think Georgia goes in and wins that game. I just don't see Auburn beating them. All right, finally, Arkansas and Tennessee. Of course, 3:15 kickoff on SEC Network. Vols are an 11.5-point favorite at home. We ask our users on the Whole Hog Sports X Twitter page the question today, what is Arkansas's most likely outcome at Tennessee this weekend? Give them 3 options. 13% say win, 28% say close loss, and 59% say big loss.
Yeah, and I think
the ratings say, by the way, Tennessee by 10.
Yeah, it's interesting because you're like gauging what necessarily people define as big loss versus close loss. Because I'm somewhere in between with it. I think the spread is probably about right with how I feel. I think Arkansas could lose by anywhere from like 10 to maybe 21.
10 to more than 11.
Yeah.
That might be the way to say it right now.
Yeah, I do think that Tennessee's defense is vulnerable enough for Arkansas to score on them. I said the same thing about Notre Dame, and they've really impressed since their start of the year. But I just think that Arkansas could hang with them, but I just think over time it has a wear down effect if the other team is scoring against your defense. And I just don't think this is a good. If you're the Arkansas defense, you would have loved to come out of this bye week and your opponent be like Auburn, who we just mentioned, another team that their offense hasn't really consistently performed well. This is an offense at Tennessee that has looked really good all year. So I just think it's a tough matchup for Arkansas, and they run out of steam.
Yeah, and they got there's the motivation of last year losing in Fayetteville that I'm sure is kind of stuck with these guys all year. By the way, the ratings say this game will be 40-30. Do you realize how bad these defenses have to be to see 40-30 just based on averages? It's amazing.
Yeah, and
it's amazing.
This Tennessee defense reminds me of Arkansas's the last year that Barry Odom was here, where they had a really high sacks number, I think. But man, if they aren't getting to the quarterback, teams have been passing all over them. And I think that Arkansas, this could be a good matchup, like where the offense can just score, put up a lot of points, but I just don't know if the defense has what it takes to go in there and get the stops that you need. You have to get stops. Like, you cannot win a game without getting stops, and it feels like every stop that this Arkansas defense gets this year, it's almost like take a photo of it and frame it on the wall. Like, you don't know the next one that you'll see.
Yeah. Tennessee, they had 5 sacks and 2 defensive touchdowns in their last game against Mississippi State, so just keep that in mind. They're not good, but they for all the points they do give up, they kind of get some back with defensive scores this year. When we come back, we'll have Ethan's Q&A with Bruiser Flint at the Hawgs Illustrated Sports Club. First, another word from Kendall King.
At Kendall King, we're proud of over 4 decades of design. We're continuing the legacy of great creative design by combining our brands of Kendall King, Soapbox, and Shopcart. Together, these brands represent a new focus in marketing design with individual attention to specific areas. Through our design expertise supported by a team of talented professionals, we showcase our best. We are Kendall King, we are Soapbox, we are Shopcart, we are design.
Hey, welcome back. I want to tell you about our friends at Bentonville Glass. They've been serving their community since 1971. Committed, professional, versatile. If you're looking for a quality leader in Northwest Arkansas or looking for skilled craftsmanship, look no further than Bentonville Glass for all your glass market needs with the highest quality products. You can come by and see them now at 507 South Main in Bentonville or online at bentonvilleglass.com. Bruiser Flint was our guest yesterday at the Hawgs Illustrated Sports Club in Springdale. Ethan had the Q&A with him, and here it is now.
I'll see if I can do anything.
I guess we're both self-deprecating today.
I guess so, right?
Importance. Bruiser, first of all, just want to ask you, what makes your partnership with Coach Cal click? Because y'all have gone way back. People don't stick with the same boss, work for the same person unless it's working. What's kind of made that work?
Brad will appreciate this. I tell everybody, say, what's your thing with Cal? I got him started. Yeah. His first groups, I recruited him. So I recruited his first groups, but I was going from him for a long time. I was a head coach for 20 years. But Cal has always kept the guys who sort of work for him. You get fired, he bring you back, all those things like that. So Chuck Martin, who's actually on my staff, he worked for me at Drexel and UMass, and then when Cal needed an assistant, I said, I got somebody for you. So Chuck Martin worked for him. He became a head coach. We all got fired. We all came back to Cal. So so that's what Kenny Payne, same thing. And so that's what it. But even when I was a head coach for a long time, I talked to him almost every day. So our relationship goes back. I laugh because I knew his daughters when they were born. Brad wasn't even born when I worked for him. So we go back. Our relationship goes a little bit further than just the basketball. But when everybody says, man, why are you so close to Cal? I said, you know what? When you get a guy good players, then he like you. So that's my thing with him. And we've been doing this together for a long time. And he's been a good mentor to me, so also too.
Yeah, I think whenever people hear the role special assistant to the head coach, they always are like, what really is that?
Yeah,
how would you describe what your actual day-to-day is like?
A little bit on the team and coach's psychiatrist, a little bit. I make sure everybody doesn't lose their mind. But I don't do as much recruiting, so I don't recruit anymore. But I do a lot of stuff within the office. Make sure the guys get where they're supposed to be. And then the basketball stuff. I talk to Cal a lot about what do you think about practice, what we got coming up with some of the things, just being a different set of eyes for him. I've been with him so long that I'm not afraid to say, yo, that's not right, where sometimes guys are when you're having a coach like that. So I've been with him for a long time, and I'd be like, hey, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. And if he goes crazy, he goes crazy. I've been through it with him before. But I do a lot of the stuff like that. Like we said, like they put in there a lot of game type of stuff. I sit down with a lot of coaches. Those guys I've been around for a long time. I guess they respect me. They sit down, they talk to me about what do I think, what I've been going through, what I've gone through as a coach, and what am I seeing. And so we just try to get it going. I'm there for everybody. But I do a lot of stuff with the players also too. Make sure they get where they're supposed to be. A lot of the academic stuff too. I handle that a little bit. And then the players also too. They come to me when they think Cal's losing their mind, and they ask me, what's up with your boy? You know what I mean? So that's a big job for me too.
How is the culture and just energy here in Fayetteville different from different programs you've been at?
Like I said, I haven't been at many because I was a head coach for a long time. One of the things, we knew this was a great place to play because when we were at Kentucky, we came here to play. So we thought next to Rupp, this was the best building in the conference. We thought, because we came here for some games. I'm like, whoa, it's crazy in here. It's a little crazy in here, so. So we knew the atmosphere and everything like that could really get it going in there, get it going in the building. So when Cal told me he was taking the job, I was like, yo, not a bad job. They've won national championships and got great supporting fans. They're not crazy. You know what I mean? Everybody has crazy fans, but I will say it's not crazy in the place we just left. But we think the people here are very supportive. What we did on Friday was put together in a short time. It wasn't like we had planned this from the summer. This was like 2 weeks in planning, and look what we got to come into the building to support us. So we appreciate it. We think that, like we said, it's one of the toughest buildings to play in the league, and we appreciate that from the fans. We think that the culture here, they want to have a winner. They've had good teams in the past. They think Cal's the one to get them back over the top and put up another banner. And they've been very supportive of us. We appreciate that.
I know John Calipari is one of those people that, fans, media, everybody sees his image and he's got that kind of aura about him. I'm just curious, what is he like when the cameras, is he the same guy when the cameras aren't on?
Pretty much. No, not really. But one thing about Cal, very loyal. That's why we all come back and we work for him when, everybody gets fired. So very loyal to his assistants, very loyal to the people that work for him and work around him. Really believes in family. So that's one of the things about him. Of course, you see him, he's unbelievably engaging to everybody. He'll do whatever, one of the things Hunter has seen and he's taken advantage of, Cal will do anything for him. To really, not just for the basketball program, just for Arkansas in general. Cal will go, he'll speak, he'll raise money, he'll do all those things like that. And I think that's one of the things that make him a little special. It makes everybody feel as though they are a part of it. And I think he does an unbelievable job with that.
Obviously, people are really excited about the talent that the staff has been able to bring in to Arkansas on the team. You were part of the staff that helped develop Marcus Camby, who went on to win National Player of the Year. Just what stands out to you about coaching elite talent like that once they are in your hands and y'all are, the ones developing them?
Make you a good coach. So, real good coach. You got real good talent, you're usually a real good coach. And a lot of us got fired because we didn't have that talent for a little bit, and then you get fired when you don't have that type of. But, he's always had a great eye. Cal's always been a great recruiter. Like I said, I was with him at the beginning, and I was sitting in the homes with him, so I listened to him talk. I give you a little insight. So we would go into a home. He would say, now, Cal's a little cocky, so he would say to me, ether or no ether. So we mean ether, that means put him under and really get him going. Or no ether, let's just keep it really, really general. So when we used to go into somebody's house, are we doing the ether one tonight or we're doing the no ether? I said, we might need Ethan tonight. So then when he gets going, and I used to always say to him, to the guys, y'all know you guys are a little young, but remember those dolls used to pull the string and they start talking? Right? That's how I used to tell people Cal was. I said, you just sit him down, you pull that string, and he just start talking. So that's what I used to say about him all the time. But he's unbelievable in the home. As you all know, he's great with people and he's able to do it. He never makes more promises that he can't keep. And like I said, I've been around him since 1988, 89. And that's the one thing I will say that has stayed constant, even when I came back with him, which was more than 23 years later. So he's never going to promise you anything that he can't keep. He's very genuine in how he talks about how you're going to play for him. He doesn't make any promises in terms of his playing time. So when you come in, you know it. One of the things that being in a home with him that you learn and you become a head coach yourself is that you don't want to lie to kids because they'll take you up on it. And then the trust factor goes away. Now, Cal's changed a lot of ways in terms of how he used to coach because he was really hard when we were young. So in order for you to be hard on a kid, he got to understand that it's not personal, and the things that he's saying to you it's not, well, I didn't promise you this, and then you get there, you don't get it. So you can be a little tougher than now. It's a little bit different nowadays, the way you got to coach. I'm sure you know that, Coach, you know what I mean? So it's a little different how you got to coach, but as long as you don't make any promises, as long as it is what it is, but you know what you're getting into, that makes it easier from the coach, and I think he's done a very good job at that.
What kind of makes this new chapter for him, do you think, feel so exciting and, rejuvenated is what the kind of vibe we got from him from his first year at least?
No, I mean, me, myself, personally, I want him. He's had one of the greatest careers in the history of college basketball. When I was at Kentucky, when I came back with him at Kentucky, I was astonished how it was going, especially since I had my own jobs for a long time. And I was like, man, this is not good. And I used to say it to him. I used to be like, yo, man, it's not what I expected, to the point where I would tell people at Kentucky, I don't have to work here. You know what I mean? That's how bad it was. I just want to see him go out the right way. And I think this is a perfect job for him. I think you come here, you got a chance to win. The people here are way more supportive. I wasn't at Kentucky the first 11, but that last 4 we were there, it was not good. I'm not going to lie. And, we still won games, but it just was not good. So when we came here, and one of the things about last year was when we went 0-5 in conference play, and we still got to sell out crowds at the place. We were like, man, now we still would have got sellout crowds at Rupp, but they'd have been booing you. You know what I mean? So we got that part of it. And no one was in here like killing us, which gave us a chance to get back in and made it a little bit more special. But for him, I think this is the perfect place for him to sort of ride into the sunset. Guys had one of the most, I have to tell him he has to remember that sometimes. Yo, man, you've had one of the greatest careers in the history of this game. Like, you know what I mean? Smell the flowers once in a while, do your thing. But I think this is a great place for him to sort of be able to do that.
Having been a head coach yourself for 20 years, I mean, how do you think that being back in a supporting role for a head coach, that you can rely on your own personal experiences to kind of help guide you?
I've worked for Archie Miller for a couple of years at Indiana, then I went back with Cal. It was hard at first, I'm not going to lie. I always tell people, they say, what's the difference? I said, every Sunday at 1 o'clock when I was a head coach, I watched the Eagles. And everybody know, don't bother me. From 1 to 4, I'm going to be watching Philadelphia Eagles. When you become an assistant coach, you got to practice at 1 o'clock. So you're not watching the Eagles, so you don't have your own time. But I would say both Cal and Archie have been good to me in terms of, I think they respect what I bring to the table. And they give me an opportunity to say things that might not necessarily be able to say to some people. But, you get used to it. Been at great places. Again, this is a good place. I was a mid-major coach, so I wasn't flying on jets and doing all those things like that. You were on the bus, you know what I mean? You busing 4 hours, getting back 4 hours, 3 o'clock in the morning, getting back up 7 o'clock, doing that. This stuff not a bad gig if you're an assistant, you know what I mean? The way you travel and the things you go around doing like that. So, but it's been good. It's been good for me, you know what I mean? I'm still in the basketball, and the kids give you energy. John Chaney, longtime coach. I don't know if you guys remember him, Hall of Fame coach from Philly. So me and him used to go to lunch once in a while, and when I was in Philadelphia. And so I used to always say to him, man, I ain't going to be doing this when I'm 70 years old. And he was in his 70s at the time. He said two things. He goes, one, y'all make way more money now than when I got started. That was one of the things he said. But he said, I'm going to tell you what you'll miss. He said, you'll miss the energy from the kids. So one year when I was at Drexel for 15 years, I got fired. And so my agent said, take off for a year. And, you're still getting paid and all stuff like that. So I did. And that's what I missed. I missed the energy from the kids. They keep you young and they keep you going. And that's one of the big things about this job. And that's one reason why you see a lot of guys keep coaching, because that energy is a little bit different than most.
You mentioned the travel, how that was different being a smaller program, but now having, you've been at large programs and small programs, what's kind of like the biggest constant that any successful team, no matter the level or conference, kind of has to have?
Got good players. When it's all said and done, it's all about the players. You can be the greatest coach in the world. I think people are starting to find out that I've been reading all today about Bill Belichick, right? He's probably arguably one of the great football coaches of all time. You know why not winning in North Carolina? He ain't got good players. So, you could teach, and if they're not good enough, there's nothing you can do. People are going to be serious. So recruiting is the heart of the whole thing. So you got to be able to get good players, the support from the people. Like I said, I was fired. I was fired at UMass, and I'm not afraid to say this because I'm old enough to say it. But my boss, I hated him. I did. I didn't talk to him for the last year and a half that I worked with the guy. Okay, so that support is good. Now I go to Drexel. I'm there for 15 years. Now when I got fired, it was time. You know what I mean? I had been there a long time, but my boss, I still talk to him. So it goes to show you in terms of your support and all those things like that. So I still tease them. I was like, you fired me because you didn't want to pay me no more. But we had a relationship that's going to go on for a long time. And I think that's also one of the biggest things, too. And that's what happened to Cal at Kentucky. Just didn't get supported anymore. And you would say all the stuff that goes on at Kentucky, you would never think that. But that was one of the issues. And that's why he's at Arkansas now.
How have you since the admin supported Arkansas? What does that look like for Cal? Does he feel like he have more just kind of reign to do how he wants to do things?
Yeah, we want to be able to sit down and it's a lot of different things going on in terms of the rules and the money and all those things like that. You want to have somebody in your corner is a lot more difficult than the job used to be, I think that's what Hunter's done a good job for. He can sit down and they can have a conversation about what's good for the program. I'm sure Hunter, I've never really been in those meetings, but I'm sure Hunter probably tells them, as a head coach, you want your boss to say, okay, we can or we can't. And if your boss keeps telling you we can't, then you're not gonna be there long. But if you guys can get to a mutual agreement about what can be done, how can I help you, all those things like that, then you'll have some success.
So far from practices, we're getting so close to season. Just what kind of identity have you sensed that this year's Arkansas team will have?
Well, I talked about it a little bit before, but I think we're a little bit more skilled than we were last year, shooting-wise. One thing I enjoyed about our team last year, I don't know if Coach can attest to this and just how you build, we had some toughness. We were a little ugly playing last year. We'll admit that we were ugly, but we had some toughness. And that's one reason why we were able to pull ourselves out of the hole that we were able to do. That's one thing about playing against other teams now coming up, how tough we're going to be. Skill level, the team from this year to last year, not even close. You know what I mean? Like I said, our bigs are way skilled. Our guards are better skill-wise. Will we have that toughness? That really makes you win. Because last year we had that toughness and we just grinded it to the end until, the Sweet 16. But I think our skill level is very high this year, and that gives you a chance to win.
How has Coach Calipari's kind of style of play adapted to this specific group of how he wants them to play?
Well, this is the type of team he's used to having. You know what I mean? Highly skilled players, really good guards, couple big guys that could do some things for you. His teams in the past have always been that way. I even go back to one of the things I tell people about Cal especially when we get in recruiting and we start talking about recruiting a little bit. I go back from the beginning, Marcus Camby, Donta Bright, Dana Dingle. One thing he does an unbelievable job is he puts it together. Even back then, we had a couple guys, people like, why are you recruiting him? Well, Cal can put it together for you to everybody to know their roles and even if guys are similar. You know what I mean? They can't play with him. He can't do that. Cal does an unbelievable job with that type of stuff. And I think that's one of the things by having a highly skilled team that he'll be able to put it together for us to be where we want to be.
We'll close on a couple more personal ones. When you look back on your career at this point, what's one game or moment that you kind of gives you chills to think about?
I don't think one. As an assistant, I went to Final Four. We went to Final Four at UMass. I've beaten some pretty good coaches. Beat Patino, and I was the first team to win. When I was at Drexel, we got the first win at the Yum Center with Louisville and Patino. And it's funny because when I was at UMass, Rick Pitino played at UMass. And when I was there, he was the coach of the Celtics. So I used to go watch his practice. He was great to me. I used to go watch his practices and stuff like that. So when I called him about the game, I said, you know, if your guys didn't know anything about college athletics, we have what we call guarantee games, what they call them. So you pay the school because they're guaranteed to lose. Okay? So it's just the truth, all right? That's what they call guarantees. So I call them up and I say, I need 100,000, you know what I mean, come and play. So he was like, okay, Bruce, all right, we got you. He says we opened up a new arena. It'll probably be the second or third game in, but it'll pay me. So we beat him. So as he's walking up to me, he goes, I want my money back. So, but, those types of things like that. We went to the NCAA tournament a couple times when I was at UMass as the head coach. So it's a lot of great things. One reason why I think I'm still standing on that, I think this is a place where we can go to Final Four again. I'm going to make one more run.
Last one. You've worked with a lot of young coaches. Just kind of what advice would you give to those that are trying to break into the coaching space today that, maybe wouldn't have been advice however many years ago?
I think it's all the same. I think one thing is, because I actually have a lot of guys that play for me that are coaches. Now I have Bashir Mason, who played for me at Drexel. He's the head coach at St. Peter's. Dwayne Killings, who played for me at UMass. He's the head coach at Albany. Ash Howard, who's now an assistant, he was the head coach at LaSalle. So I have a lot of my former players. I always used to tease them. I said, y'all probably looked at it and said, if Brew can do it, I know I can do this, right? But one time, the biggest adjustment is that they don't realize the time, how much time it is. You're working 7 days a week, weekends, everything. So you got to be really ready to spend the time if you want to be good at it. And that's not even talk about the time for yourself, learning your craft in terms of, X's and O's and, getting times and recruiting and things like that. This is a job that takes a lot of time. Everybody thinks you just show up for the games, but that's one of the things. I've had a couple guys who played for me, they ended up working for me. And they were like, yo, Tyler Euler said this to us. When he started working with us at Kentucky, he was like, man, I didn't think it was like this. I just thought y'all guys showed up for practice, and all of a sudden we went to the games and you just played. So time is a big thing. You got to love young people.
Well, appreciate you taking your time today, Bruiser.
No
This
problem.
has been great. Give him a round of applause, everybody.
Hey, we appreciate you being with us. Hope you enjoyed Ethan's interview with Bruiser Flint at the Hawgs Illustrated Sports Club. We'll be back with another podcast on Monday to talk about football, baseball, basketball, a lot of things going on this weekend here in Fayetteville and elsewhere. We'll talk about it then. Obviously, it'll be at our website, wholehogsports.com throughout the weekend. Hope to see you there.